Let's go hunt some history down. John Berendt did an outstanding job of mixing a lot of fact with a little bit of fiction in his novel, Midnight in the Garden of Good and Evil. If you watched the movie or read the book, you would think that Bonaventure Cemetery had a lot to do with the storyline. You would be sadly mistaken. It didn't have anything to do with the storyline, with the exception of two things. First, Johnny Mercer's buried right over there, and his great-grandfather started building the house that Jim Williams was living in at the time. The second thing is the Bird Girl statue from the cover of the book and the posters for the movie used to sit right about where HR2 is sitting now. None of which had anything to do with the movie or the book. There are plenty of cemeteries that did, though, and they're not even in Savannah, and we're going to go find them. Before we talk about Minerva and the Low Country Hoodoo, we need to go back in time and look at her ancestry to see the culture and the history that culminated in the making of not only Minerva, but others like her. And yes, the Low Country still has hoodoo priests and priestesses working today. Here in the Low Country, there's a community of people called the Gullah. The Gullah of today are direct descendants of the Gullah people that were originally brought here during the slave trade years. The Gullah people are a mixture of African people brought to the Low Country during the slave trade era. What made them different was their rice growing expertise in Africa. During the slave trading days, the Low Country was full of rice plantations. This meant the plantations were in need of a specific skill set, one that the people from the areas such as Angola and also what's now known as Sierra Leone and Liberia, Guyana, Senegal, all the way through Mali, who were all primary rice growers. When they were brought to the colonies, they were enslaved here in the Low Country for work on the rice plantations. Being isolated from others brought from other areas of Africa, the rice plantation slaves became a tight-knit group. Their traditions and beliefs became blended, and they also developed their own language, which consisted of French, English, and some African replacement words. and then coupled with the dropping of letters from words which completely change the sound of the word, even though it might be a simple English word. Here's an example.
And shum over there. May I say, gal, you ain't shum over there? You ain't shum there? Shum there means to see. See it over there. Shum there. Shum there means not just to see, it's an object, something you see. The word shum. And what another yum there, see him there. Yum, him there, yum there, him there. And old people talk. The guayan. I going, gal, I go for going now. That means I'm leaving. I'm going now, yeah. And Hannah know what day clean mean? I bet you Hannah young fellas don't know what day clean is. Somebody said, what that clean the day or clean or what? No, that's the break of dawn. Yeah, break of dawn means day clean. So, yeah, pass it.
The Gullah people brought with them their spiritual beliefs and traditions, which included what's called root work, hoodoo, or obe, which used specific roots, herbs, spices, and soils, along with incantations to affect a specific outcome of specific situations, be that situation love, legal, protection or aggression, power, luck, money, health, or even employment. Over time, these practices have worked alongside of, but not in place of, Christianity. In fact, the practitioners of hoodoo are supposed to be an individual of strong Christian faith and of strong hoodoo faith. There's no one Gullah religion, but there are a number of spiritual practices that are an amalgamation of West African rituals and beliefs and religion. At the beginning of the 20th century, many Gullah Geechee people practiced some form of traditional Christianity. Some even practiced Islam with some folk traditions, including root medicine. Physicians coming to the area were expected to be both root and medical doctors. Design magazines attribute the Hank blue porch ceilings, doors, shutters, and houses to coastal living, when the truth is, those beautiful blue porch ceilings and accents you see on those big houses in Charleston and Savannah originated with the Gullah Geechee people. The blue is a light blue similar to robin egg blue or as deep as a rich Aegean blue and mimics the sky or water. Spirits have an aversion to water and are supposed to ward off evil spirits and deter them from entering the home. Some of the evil spirits that the Gullah Geechee people believe in take the forms of spirits such as the Boo-Hag or Plata. Boo-Hags are creatures that live to suck the energy out of victims that they quote-unquote ride in the middle of the night. Victims enter a deep sleep after the Boo-Hag depletes their energy, waking up tired and listless in the morning. By the time they wake up, the Boo-Hag has long gone, redressed in the skin of another victim before the sun comes up so that they can move undetected among the living. They are just evil, evil, evil. They find their way into victims' homes through cracks, keyholes, an open window, or a chimney. Boo-Hags have an aversion to indigo blue and cannot enter spaces painted blue. They don't like the salt, so leaving a salt shaker on the nightstand can ward them off. But they also have a weakness, their attention span, and an obsession with counting. Some Gullah Geechee people believe if you put a hairbrush or a broom in the corner of your room, the Boo-Hag can't resist counting the bristles of the brush and straws on the broom. The Plata is a shape-shifting spirit that is said to be the spirit of someone wronged on earth. They have large glowing eyes or one eye depending on the witness or storyteller. The Plata will be stationed at a place of the untimely death, prepared to harass anyone disturbing them. To ward off a Plata, Lord dictates that you carry a small burlap sack filled with equal parts of gunpowder and sulfur. Now that'll get you on a watch list any day now. They detest the stench, but to get rid of one, it is said that you can hang blue bottles from your porch or create a blue bottle tree to trap them. Once inside the bottle, they will be killed by the morning sun hitting the bottle. St. Helena root worker Dr. Buzzard began his practice in the early 1900s. He claimed to be the son of West African witch doctor who had been enslaved and brought over to the United States. The elder doctor passed on his spiritual powers to a younger doctor, Dr. Buzzard. His real name was Stephen Robinson, and people traveled far and wide for his services. After he died in 1947, his son-in-law took over the family business and worked under the name of Buzzy. The bigger question about Dr. Buzzard is, what kind of quote-unquote work did he do? Dr. Buzzard cast spells and put hexes on folks for a variety of reasons, from punishing a cheating spouse or lover to affecting a jury's outcome, to mess with someone who had been messing with you, and more. There were other root workers such as Dr. Bug, Dr. Eagle, and others. The Sheriff J. Ed McTeer Sr. was a root worker, or white witch doctor, who specialized in removing spells and hexes cast by other root workers. The most famous of all root workers was Hoodoo Priestess Minerva, Valerie Fennell Boles, featured in the movie Midnight in the Garden of Good and Evil. Valerie Boles, aka Minerva, and her common-law husband Percy Washington, or Dr. Eagle, were both practitioners of hoodoo or root work. Dr. Eagle was the number one competitor of Dr. Buzzard, or Stephen Robinson, of St. Helena Island, who was at one point the most prominent root doctor in the U.S. His claim to fame was being hired by someone with legal issues, and they would hire him just as they would a lawyer. He would perform a specific ritual using a specific blend of roots, herbs, and whatever to have a specific effect. Then he would show up in the court that day and chew the root, and supposedly have a positive effect on his client's case. This is how Minerva was involved in the murder trial of Jim Williams, according to the book's author, John Berendt. One night during the second of 4 trials, he and Jim Williams drove to Beaufort, South Carolina to meet with Minerva at her home, which was also her place of business. From there, the 3 of them took a short walk to the gravesite of Dr. Eagle. Now in the book, for privacy's sake, they renamed him Dr. Buzzard, where Minerva performed a ceremony during the magic hour. She called the graveyards the garden, and the magic hour is 11:30 p.m. to 12:30 a.m., 11:30 p.m. to 12 midnight for good magic, and 12 midnight to 12:30 for evil. Thus the name of the book, Midnight in the Garden of Good and Evil. Minerva loved Jim Williams as well as any black female reclusive root doctor could. She could be seen sitting on a park bench in Monterey Square waiting on Jim to notice that she was there, so she could bring him up to speed on any info she was hearing from the people on the street and to give him life advice, all of which he would give her $20 for. They remained friends until Jim's death in 1990. Some would say that they remained friends even after his death, as she was known to be heard having conversations with Jim after he died, which is another aspect of being a root doctor. Minerva died on May 8, 2009, and was not buried with Percy. Instead, she was buried in another location, and just as many root doctors have passed, they have made it hard to locate the actual burial site. It is believed that the soil around the grave of a root doctor contains the essence, so to speak, of that root doctor, and the more powerful the root doctor, the stronger the essence. Some root doctors have been known to have their graves robbed of actual body parts. The believed grave of the actual Dr. Buzzard actually is missing quite a bit of dirt and would appear to be in terrible disrepair, even though it is well hidden. I visited several locations trying to locate Minerva's grave over a couple of days of searching. I ended up driving all over Beaufort County and areas just outside the county to find both Minerva's and Percy Washington's grave. Out of respect for them, I won't tell you where I found them. All I will say is forget using gravefinder.com. Minerva's grave is not where Gravefinders says it is. However, there are clues on Gravefinder. And Dr. Eagle's grave, well, you have to take clues from an old interview with John Berendt to figure that one out. And with that, we're going to put this one to rest. Hopefully you enjoyed this video, and if you did, please hit the subscribe button. It's right over here. Don't forget to hit that bell so that you'll be notified whenever we do an upload, and we do one each and every week. Remember, every trip starts with a step, and that step, well, it starts with you.